you boys? I'm Boudreaux. And I'm Thibodeau. And there's three things that we love doing: eating boudin, eating crawfish, and watching WGS-TV.
Hello everyone, welcome to another installment of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer and ZFX-TV. I'm the WrestleGamer, Double B Bully Boudreaux, and this is going to be the Impact Wrestling review for the week of June 26, 2014. Let me introduce the panel for this week's Impact Wrestling review. First off, from YouTube.com/Lance Moss TV, he is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, from YouTube.com/KillerXKenny, he is the man from South Park, simply known as Cartman. Cartman, what's up?
Absolutely nothing.
Then again, that's pretty much every day with you, right? Anyway, let's start off the review of Impact Wrestling. We had the opening match, the tag team match from the Knockouts, kind of built on from what happened last week. Taryn, Terrell, teaming up with Gail Kim to take on the Beautiful People. I gotta say, Lance, you know, for her being gone away from the ring for as long as she's had, you know, to have her child, you know, she looked not only in remarkable shape, it looked like she hadn't missed a step.
I know that's right. For someone who just had a kid a year ago, in phenomenal shape.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very interesting way they finished the match. It was Gail Kim hitting Eat Defeat on Angelina Love, so basically now Gail Kim has pinned the Knockouts champion, so storyline would dictate her getting another shot at the title. Now, we kind of expected TNA to go this round of having MVP and his crew go out there to celebrate Lashley becoming the new TNA heavyweight champion. And he guaranteed his crew in the promo that after he would be done with Eric Young, that he would be begging for his release. Eric Young showed up to basically say that, you know, that he wasn't going to quit, and then starts to get beat down again. And just like last week, Bobby Roode showed up to make the save, but it wasn't just enough for Bobby Roode to make the save. He had to make a statement representing everyone in TNA who built the company from the ground up. And just right about as MVP was about to fire Bobby Roode, out comes a lawyer, a representative of the TNA board of directors, and kind of does what we expected of him, Lance, and that was MVP getting canned.
Yeah, it turned. Yeah. I mean, I was hoping it wasn't his replacement wasn't going to be him. Thank God I was wrong.
Yeah, he sounded a little nervous on the microphone.
Yeah. You can tell that's his first time doing what he did.
Yeah, easily.
But it also made mention of his replacement will be later revealed in the evening. Now, you want to talk about Sanada. Now, Sanada, the X Division champion, had, you know, we did see a promo with, of course, with Nux talking with apparently somebody who owes, you know, his father's carnival that owes him money, and he said, "Don't worry, we'll get the money to you." And the only way they could do that is by having Crazy Steve win the X Division championship. Then DJ Zema Ion and I forget what's his face, Jesse Goddard showed up saying that ain't gonna happen. And then Manik, who I guess Crazy Steve looked a little nervous about because of the fact that his face was a skull. But Sanada questioned all three of them, saying, "Do you want title shot? Do you want title shot?" I'm not ripping on the way he does his English. But after he did that to all three of them, he says, "You know what? All three get title shot." And basically we had a four-way match for the X Division champion. You want to talk about, I still say it to this day, Cartman, one of the mainstays and one of the reasons I started watching TNA was the X Division, and this matchup did not disappoint.
Absolutely not. I mean, I didn't see the match on TV. I watched the video on YouTube, and it was an amazing match. Just full of just completely crazy shit that WWE would never do.
Basically That's the perfect synonym to put for it. It boiled down to Sanada hitting the Tiger Suplex on DJ Zema Ion. And one thing that still bugs me about Mike Tenay and Taz, learn to call the moves properly. Yes, I've only been doing it 6 years myself on the independents, but I make sure to call the moves correctly. The way Mike Tenay called it, if I remember, he said it was a throw with a pin. You know, it wasn't the Tiger Suplex. It was a throw with a pin. Really. You know, maybe it's just me, you know, that's kind of overly critical about the way they do commentary with me being a commentator myself. But
you are right. It's saddening. It's something you'd expect to see out of a 3-year-old.
Somebody get the professor's diploma.
They work for a major wrestling company. They need to get their shit together and at least understand something as basic as somebody's moveset. I mean, hell, they have a teleprompter. They can't even read off that. It's like, damn.
Well, even I don't have a teleprompter. You know, everything I do from commentary is.
I mean, hell, even if they didn't have a teleprompter, but they can't just have like a little sheet of paper with all the notes written down on it. It's like, damn, like you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and it's not like Sanada's that much of a newcomer. He's been in the company since the onset of the year, like at Lockdown. So, but anyway, up next, Dixie Carter kind of assumed that she was going to be the new board of director, director of wrestling operations. So she calls out the representative from the board of directors, and she thought he was going to be there to celebrate. But then the board of representatives said, "You know what? You are not the new director of wrestling operations," and Dixie Carter responded by throwing champagne in the face, which led to Bully Ray coming out and attempting to once again put Dixie Carter through a table. When EC3 intercepted him, and basically thanks to EC3 and Rockstar Spud, who looked like for some weird villain of Batman, you know, like a weird version of Joker. I don't understand, the who's dressing Rockstar Spud, but I don't know about their IQ level. But
can I just say it's Rockstar Spud? What else is new?
Yeah, you got a
point. Who cares? He's Rockstar Spud. He's gonna He's there to get put through a table.
Again.
Up next, we had a rematch from Slammiversary, and thank God there were no NFL players at present at this one. The rematch between Cowboy James Storm and Mr. Anderson. Of course, I'm making reference to the fact that TNA had to use some members of the Dallas Cowboys to actually put the match over at Slammiversary, which I thought was utterly ridiculous in my opinion. But
Billy, is it just because you're a Saints fan? It's okay.
Anyway,
it's okay that the Cowboys are better.
A little.
But of course, you have to be more than the Saints at.
James Storm ends up hitting the last call super kick and gets the victory over Mr. Anderson. Basically, right now in the feud, they're tied 1 apiece. So you know what's going to be coming up next. The third match, the rubber match. And talk about somebody who wanted to get revenge on someone. Tommy Dreamer attacks EC3 in the back. Basically kind of turns Lance EC3 into, maybe let's call it the king of trash cans.
He beat him like a redheaded stepchild. That's country, but
yeah, that's as country as you can get, to be honest.
Well, I can get more country than that, but I don't feel like it.
But Lance, do you see them going further with this? I mean, we saw last week when EC3 attacked Tommy Dreamer during the promo, and now on this week's version of Impact Wrestling, we saw Tommy Dreamer try to get a measure of revenge on EC3. Do you see TNA going further with this with Tommy Dreamer and EC3?
Probably, because what would be the point of just having a 2-week-long storyline? Let's tell an angle. 2 weeks? Really?
Cartman, one thing I definitely got to bring up was the fans' reaction to when Al Snow was part of security out there to kind of break up the fight, and the fans were just going for head. And of course, Taz had to make it obviously known on commentary. Well, fans, if you want to know what he's talking about, they're directing that chant towards Al Snow. And I'm like, yeah, if you only started watching wrestling this year, you know, that you wouldn't know that. But man, what's your take on that crowd reaction they had for Al Snow, Cartman?
Well, I haven't been watching wrestling that long, so I really didn't get the reference that much, because I haven't been watching wrestling all for the past 3 or 4 years, and just really been getting the TNA over the last couple. So.
Yeah, but it's Al Snow. That's the gimmick.
I just gotta say, it proves one thing: everybody still wants head.
You would. Wow. You sad son of a bitch.
Up next, one of the featured matches on this week's Impact Wrestling. It's Willow and Abyss taking on Magnus and Bram in a Monsters Ball tag team match. Now, you want to talk about a way that only TNA can put these two together with I'm talking about Willow and Abyss. I mean, even that promo they did backstage where Willow was asking, is she coming to the ball? And she said, oh, she's always close by. And of course, we all know what they're talking about. Talking about Janice. But
the only way I was going to say the only way that TNA could get rid of the Jeff Hardy and Abyss being together is if they did bring in that Willow gimmick. Because just the crazy son of a bitch and then Abyss, which is just, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, for once, TNA did not disappoint in this matchup. It was very good. I really liked all the action they did. And at one point, they handcuffed Abyss to the guardrail, and of course, Abyss just broke his way out. And then something we've never seen in Impact before, Lance, and it was something that was brought up to my attention on the Facebook page during the live coverage of Impact Wrestling. It was the fact that, the finish of the match, Bram swinging Janice into the midsection of Abyss and getting the pinfall.
I was going to say, that's the first time we've actually seen somebody actually get hit by Janice.
No, it's not. No, it is not.
No, we've seen the end result of it.
With RVD.
Yeah.
We never actually saw somebody physically get hit with Janice. We just saw RVD backstage.
And then at one point, wasn't there a segment featuring Abyss where Abyss had it in his back? Somebody put it in his back?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've always seen the end result of what happens with Janice. We've never seen Janice actually swung in the ring and used in that type of manner. So I got to say, that month, if they would have let a little bit of blood go, I think that it really would have made the matchup a little bit more solid than it was. But I got to say, it did not disappoint. But also, they were really hyping over the fact that at the New York City tapings, 2 things were going to be happening. One, the 6-sided ring is going to be coming back, which I think is a plus in my book. A big, major plus.
And
Impact Wrestling.
Yes. They need to keep that. That's the one thing that sets them apart from WWE. That,
well, there are 2
the
things.
Fact that their knockouts can actually wrestle.
Well, 3 things, rather. It's the 6-sided ring, the knockouts, and the X division.
Yes.
So,
WWE has nothing special with their mid-card title. The TNA has one hell of a division that's based around that mid-card championship.
And the fourth, their world title actually looks like a world title.
Yeah, in WWE, they have 2 championships, 2 title belts to represent 1 championship.
I can understand if it's a tag team title. They need to get their shit together with that, too, but that's a whole nother rant.
Yeah.
The other thing that TNA is doing for the New York City taping, there were a couple of things that were advertised on the Impact Wrestling website. One, I don't know why they did it like this, but they advertised it as a TNA World Heavyweight Championship match at the New York City taping. Lashley defending against, not Willow, Jeff Hardy. I don't know why TNA is doing that. Yeah, exactly. Because, the current gimmick he has is Willow. It's not Jeff Hardy. It's Willow. I don't understand why TNA is doing it like that.
Everyone knows it's like the alter ego of Jeff Hardy, but still, there's no need to be kind of doing what they're doing. It confuses people, and it's confusing. Unless they're going to try to get him into working double matches a night.
I don't see that happening, though. I don't see that happening.
I don't either, but just trying to actually kind of find a reason for it to make sense.
And speaking of Hardy, the return of Matt Hardy to TNA is going to be happening at the New York City taping. So I'd like to see how they play it out. Does Matt Hardy meet Willow, which he has in the past? If you guys know your history, that has happened in the past. You got to look up your history, your Omega history, because it has happened before in the past. So, but up next, following that, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we would have the big reveal on who is the new executive director of wrestling operations in Total Nonstop Action. And Lance, I'm going to start with you. I got to go your reaction to Kurt Angle being named the new executive director of wrestling operations.
I'm worried. We're really on our own out here now.
It's true. It's real. It's damn real.
And Carmen, what are your reactions to it?
I don't think I could have said it right. I thought I kind of expected to see it, because wasn't Sting in charge of the company when he introduced Kurt Angle into the Hall of Fame? If I can remember correctly, wasn't Sting in charge of the company?
I think so, yeah. I think he was going as the general manager.
Yes, and now that they have Kurt Angle as general manager, I'm thinking they're going to have the general manager induct the people into the Hall of Fame, because Sting was general manager when he inducted Angle, and wasn't it Dixie in charge when she inducted Sting?
I do believe so.
Exactly, so I'm thinking that's kind of where that was kind of people's just like little subtle things like that. They gave it away fairly early, like at Slammiversary.
Well,
like stupid subtle things like that.
MVP and company were not really happy to the naming of Kurt Angle as a new executive director of wrestling operations. So what did they do? Of course, with their heel gimmick, what they normally do, they get in the boss's face, they try to play the numbers game, and say, you can tell everybody else what to do, you can't tell us what to do. We run things over here. And Kurt Angle responded by saying, if any one of you touches me, you're fired, and made two proclamations. One, that Bobby Lashley would be defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship next week against the man that they screwed out of the championship. That's Eric Young. And something that what he said that MVP would not like is he reinstated Bobby Roode, and we end Impact Wrestling with them taking it to MVP and company. So I'm going to say, as bad as Impact Wrestling was last week, this one was kind of a significant improvement. It's time to go into overall scores and our picks for best and worst match or segment of Impact Wrestling this week. Now, it's just something I just said to you guys right off the bat. This week's Impact Wrestling, a significant improvement over the pile of garbage that they put out. Now, I got to mention, I'm not going to rag on him, because everyone's entitled to their own opinions. XC69 in the comments said on last week's review that Impact Wrestling was one of the last week's Impact was one of the better ones. So I'm really interested in XC69 as to how you evaluate this week's Impact Wrestling. Because we kind of had a difference of opinions when it comes to last week's Impact Wrestling. This one, in my opinion, a significant step in the right direction. I mean, we got a new head of in the storyline. Kurt Angle, the new executive director of wrestling operations, trying to make things right. He even said it in the promo that he's got nothing to gain by being the executive director, but he's accomplished everything he's going to accomplish in wrestling. Does that necessarily mean that Kurt Angle is hanging up the boots? Maybe, maybe not. Only time will tell as to where they go from here, because we never know exactly the severity of his knee injury. I mean, I did get the opportunity to see him at WrestleCon in New Orleans back in April, and this was back in April, and he was still hobbling, guys and gals. He was still hobbling from what I saw. So you never know. Maybe he has to hang up the boots due to injury. You never know.
That's what I was going to say. He's getting up there in age, too, ain't he?
Yeah, because he wasn't exactly a spring chicken when he debuted in the WWE in 2000 against Taz at the Royal Rumble. Well, no, he was in '99. I apologize, but I know that Taz,
a fairly old guy in terms of being in a professional wrestling ring, and he doesn't want to be like Undertaker, who was once a year and then nothing else for the rest of the other 364 days. Based on the way he seems, he either wants to be like he wants to continually be in the ring or just not do it at all. And honestly, I don't blame him.
I got like a two-way tie for best match of the night. The first mention is definitely going to go to the Monster Ball tag team match. Willow and Abyss taking on Magnus and Bram. Like I said, that matchup really did not disappoint. I think it would have maybe, if they had a little bit of blood, well, they did. They had Bram bleeding throughout the match, but that was about it. Yeah, so that matchup really sold it for me as well. It was a really well done match. The other tie got to go to the X Division Championship match. That four-way match with Sanada, Crazy Steve, Manik, and DJ Zema Ion. Again, the X Division, one of the other solid reasons why I watch Impact Wrestling from week to week, just to see what they will do next. It may be the same guys right now, but they are not disappointing as to what they do in the ring. I mean, it is just absolutely amazing as to what these guys can do. Kind of reminiscent of the Cruiserweights from WCW, if you guys catch my drift on that one. So my score for Impact Wrestling this week is definitely going to get a solid 3.5 out of 5. Let's go to Lance next and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of Impact Wrestling this week. Lance?
Overall, I give it a 3.5. Like you said, it's kind of hard to... I got to give my best match to the X Division. Best segment, definitely Angle being named GM, or GM, whatever you want to say. Worst, really wasn't.
Well, how about this? Anything to do with Dixie Carter?
Well...
Ding, 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 we have a winner.
Well, I got to contradict that.
Why?
She looked stupid. She got made to look stupid.
Oh,
I approve of her looking stupid.
Best segment. Dixie looks like the jackass she truly is. Best segment of the year.
And finally, guys, we're going to go to Cartman and get his overall score and his picks for best and worst match or segment of Impact Wrestling this week. Cartman?
Best segment, made him weird about Dixie Carter because she got made to look like a jackass like she truly is. Best segment of the year. But in all seriousness, best segment would be the probably the one Kurt Angle getting named a director of wrestling operations. Best match. Again, it's hard to say between the Monsters Ball match and the X Division match, or really the Knockouts match too. That was a good match. The Knockouts one was. Good to see Terrell back in the ring. Worst. Can't really think of one. But yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, guys and gals, what we want to know now from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Impact Wrestling this week. What are your overall scores? What are your picks for best and worst match or segment of Impact Wrestling? Your reactions to Kurt Angle being named the new Executive Director of Wrestling Operations in TNA. We definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Lance, what can fans expect to see when they come visit your channel over on youtube.com/Lance Moss TV?
Album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, Redneck Gourmet cooking videos, and a bunch of guitar equip and musical equipment reviews. And if you hadn't subscribed, why hadn't you?
And ladies and gentlemen, while our resident bull lever James is out of town and out of action, he decides to pick up the slack and just bull leaves for everybody.
No, absolutely not.
It's the man from South Park, simply known as Cartman, over on youtube.com/KillerXKenny. Cartman, got anything coming up on your channel?
First of all, Billy.
Got it.
Secondly, just racing failing, me failing at sim racing. And sometimes Minecraft.
And fans, don't forget to like the Facebook page, facebook.com/WGS-TV, and don't forget to please subscribe to youtube.com/WrestleGamer and youtube.com/ZFXTV Network if you haven't already. So for the incomparable Lance Moss from Lance Moss TV and the man from South Park, simply known as Cartman, I'm the WrestleGamer, Double B Boudreaux, saying thank you very much for watching.